What's going on, ladies and genitals? It is your boy Coop. So we're checking out some things inside of Warframe you may or may not know about at this point. If you're that guy, you have X-Scout Prime, you got the Lado Prime, you have counted the exact number of gray hairs inside of Steve's beard. If you know exactly how many gray hairs there are, the number is 237, by the way, then maybe you don't need this video. But for the rest of you, maybe you'll find some of this interesting. Maybe not. I don't know. I can't read the future. Anyways, so did you know that bullet jumping was actually created on accident? But either way, it was created by the player base, whether it was an accidental or not. So the player base figured out a glitch inside of the game where you could use your melee weapon to traverse long distances across the map, much like you can do now with bullet jumping and the aim gliding. So DE saw this and they were like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. Look what our players have discovered how to, this little exploit inside of the game. And instead of doing something like almost every other video game company would do, which would be just to patch that and remove it, DE said, this is cool. The players like it. They're making videos on it. Let's give it to them. So they made it a permanent part of the game where you no longer had to cheese with your melee weapon in order to fly. You could just do this inside of the game. I believe it was called coptering or choptering. I don't remember. That was so long ago. But the game that we have today is so different from the game 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, it's absolutely mind-blowing how far this game has come. So for those of you guys who are new to the game and you just thought this was, you know, the mobility inside of the game was just always there, it absolutely was not. The mobility we have today, which is completely awesome. Dudes, there used to be a bar that would run down, like that was your energy bar, kind of like your stamina bar, and you'd run out of stamina. Like that was actually in the game. That's crazy. Can you imagine being able to like jump like 4 times and your dude's tired, your Warframe's all tired? That's crazy. I mean, that's what I imagine Rhino would be like in real life. Like he jumps up 1 flight of steps and he's just done. But either way, moving on, guys. Did you know that DeRebecca was actually an intern at DE when she received her position? So she wasn't like some chick like who was like hired on for the company to do this position or anything else. She was just interning over at Digital Extremes. This was an amazing case of the right place at the right time, and it kind of makes me like DeRebecca even more. She was just there when they began something called Project Lotus. And as we know, because she's a badass, she ended up just being the Lotus inside the game. So for those of you who don't know, DeRebecca actually voices Space Mom's voice. She also has her own IMDb page, guys, where she is portrayed as the actress, obviously, for the Lotus inside of Warframe. So this is a girl who just came to intern, and like most interns, I'm sure she planned on just returning to college afterwards, maybe getting a master's, I don't know, whatever, you know, she planned on doing, maybe going out and looking for a real job afterwards. But DE liked what she was doing, and they said, hey, we're working on this super secret squirrel project, would you like to get down with us? And she was like, you know it, and that's how it happened. But the team was so small at the time, they didn't have the money to go hire an actress to come in and play this voice. They didn't have money to go pay for these people to come in for obviously the motion capture and all this other stuff, so they were doing this themselves inside of studio. So they just took this intern, made her the Lotus, and now she is the community representative, and that is completely awesome because she has become like the face of Warframe. So it's a pretty cool, in my opinion, like success story of someone who started like working for free and now is considered like one of the top devs inside of the game. Obviously she's a community manager, but she's a lot more than that. She's really the face of Warframe for a lot of people, I think. Anyways, moving on, guys. This one is gonna come like quite a shocker, which I believe is the pinky and the 2 fingers by the thumb. I believe that's the shocker. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, this one's gonna come as a shocker, y'all. So the Tenno were actually not created for Warframe. I know. Talk about sloppy seconds, guys. We got the Tenno after another game got the Tenno. So Digital Extremes had been working on a game called Dark Sector, which was going to be a sci-fi fantasy. I believe they said it had like elements of the Dark Crystal along with elements of Dune, and Dark Crystal is awesome. Dune is a cool book. I never played Dark Sector, but I do know that the Tenno were the playable character inside of this game, and that sounds like actually a pretty cool mix. The problem is, whenever DE Steve went to publishers, they kind of told him, you know, to get lost. They were like, we're not going to publish your game. This is in the day where Call of Duty was like running the world, and essentially what they told him was, we want a Modern Warfare style game, or perhaps a World War II style game, and let's just be honest, thank God he did not do this, because a lot of elements, and actually the game Dark Sector itself was used to create Warframe. They used a lot of the stuff they had already made for Dark Sector, including the playable character Tenno, and they converted that into Warframe. So had they not, guys, had they listened to these nerd producers, like over at EA or whatever, I don't know, whoever the publishers were, they were not producers, publishers, like, we could be playing Warframe with cowboy hats in the middle of, like, Nevada. Imagine how stupid this game would be had they actually listened to it and were playing in World War II as opposed to in space. Just saying, guys, thank God that Digital Extremes had some balls, DE Steve in particular. So, just an interesting thing to note, that Tenno were not first seen in Warframe. They were first seen in Dark Sector. Alright guys, so as I alluded to in that last little section, publishing of Warframe. I did say that Dark Sector, no one wanted to publish it, but the thing you may not know is no one wanted to publish Warframe either, and actually Digital Extremes had to self-publish this game, which is crazy if you look at the game today. Over 40 million, I think even 50 million players at this point have downloaded and played Warframe. Who knows how many of those have actually put money into the game. It was a few years in for me before I actually started putting money into this game, before I came to the realization, looking at other franchises like Call of Duty and a whole bunch of just other franchises, what was going on with Bungie, that made me appreciate the connection that Digital Extremes had with their community. And that's when I started being like, hey, you know what, I'm going to buy some Prime Accesses just to help out this company. Not that they need my personal help, but as a community, you know, obviously what keeps the lights on over at Digital Extremes. Anyways, so everyone told them to kick rocks. They were like, we're not publishing your game. The Asian publishers, which kind of saturated the free-to-play market, they were the ones who had all the control over the free-to-play games. Most of them were PvP, you know, kind of like Smite or League of Legends, I believe. I don't know, I haven't played League of Legends, so I'm not sure if I'm accurate there. But I know like Smite's like a free-to-play, and you have all these little characters, and like you walk around with your butt cracks hanging out if you're a chick, because that's what Chinese people... Have you ever noticed how Chinese people, like, they have a really weird, you know, fetish going on there? I don't know what it is. But either way, not Chinese, Asian. I'm sorry, Asian. I don't want to stereotype just the Chinese. I'm talking about all Asians now. So these guys were like, hello, you're from America, okay? You don't know how to do a free-to-play game. You cannot do PvE. And to be honest, to be fair, that was kind of a fair argument. You know, PvE, free-to-play, had never really been done before, at least not properly, at least not on this kind of scale, with a sci-fi, fantasy, action shooter with some stealth elements added in there just to mix things up a little bit. It had never been done. So they essentially told them, you're going to fail, and you guys there in the Americas don't know what you're doing. They probably didn't know that the secret power of DE was their Canadian Oakleaf. Is that what they have? Is it an Oakleaf? Is it Canada leaf? I don't know what that leaf is. They got a leaf on their flag, and I'm just saying, guys, y'all need to get something more hardcore, okay? Like, I'm thinking about putting in a petition for the Texas flag, and we're just going to have a veiny bicep, okay? Y'all should do something along those lines, because the Oakleaf, man, you know, you're just asking for trouble, brohemes. I'm just letting y'all know. Anyways, so that is what happened. Warframe ended up self-publishing the game, and today, millions upon millions of people have played the game, and the game is just skyrocketing, you know, higher and higher in its successes, and I'm sure every publisher who told them before to kick rocks is definitely regretting it. Alrighty guys, sorry I was like choking to death on something right then on the coffee. But last but not least, ladies and genitals, let me let you know this. This is not like the biggest news in the world. I'm sure most of y'all know this one, but I find it to be very interesting, and that is that Warframe is still in beta. What? Tell me why. Tell me how that is even possible. I have no idea. How could this game be in beta? We've got the Plains of Eidolon, which, you know, had quite a few bugs. It was a little bit buggy when it launched, but you know what? They got it out to the people. They fixed it a lot. Now, there still needs to be some content to do inside the Plains. It is not without its issues, but for this game, all the star charts that we have, every planet, every mission, most of them run completely smooth. The only issue I really have inside of Warframe is when you're with that one nerd, you know, and he's playing from the back of his pickup truck and he has like an antenna stuck into a potato, somehow hardwired to his truck battery, powering his Xbox up. That dude causes some serious lag issues. But other than that, I really think Warframe is in such a place that the idea that this game is still in beta, I just don't understand why. Now, there could be some things, some allowances you get for having your game still in beta. So, you, for example, you may be accountable for, you know, more issues. I don't know if your game's no longer in beta. Perhaps if you're in beta, you're able to get a little bit away with a little bit more as far as rules and regulations for Microsoft on Xbox or PlayStation, or even for the Steam. I don't know exactly how it works, what the purpose is of keeping your game in beta, other than you can say, look how much better my beta is than yours. I am a master beta. Maybe that is why. That's probably why it is. I'm assuming DE Steve just wants to say he's a master beta, or he's created a master beta. However it would be. Anyways, I'm going to stop saying that because it sounds super weird. Anyways, y'all, that is going to be all for this video. I am working on a couple videos for new players, ways to mod, and different kind of secret perks that are hidden on weapons, you know, for example, like the Gazelle Machete, you know, the corrosive buff you get with the Djinn, things like that. Cool little secret buffs that are on Warframes and weapons that some people may or may not know about, and little builds you can do around that, as well as some basic modding for beginners. So one mod setup that you can use on almost every melee weapon, that you can use on almost every primary, on almost every secondary, and the same thing with your Warframe, some basic, like that will probably have to be 3 depending on duration, so on. But there are those videos that I am working on. Just recording it is the only thing that's taking any of the time for doing that, but I will have those out as soon as possible. Anyways, guys, thanks for stopping by. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, then don't. I do not care. I will catch you guys next time, and peace.